your daughter's birthday? We're not coming. We have brunch plans with important friends, Dad texted. She was turning 6. First birthday after her mom died. I'd planned for weeks. She asked every day, is Grandpa coming? I said yes. During her party, they posted brunch photos. I sent them her disappointed face, framed, last time you break her heart, when they showed up unannounced for Christmas. I was holding the cake knife when my phone buzzed. I almost ignored it. Flour on my hands, frosting on my forearm, 6 pink candles already lit on the cake like tiny, brave flags. My daughter, Lila, stood on a kitchen chair in her little purple dress, cheeks shiny with excitement and effort. She'd been asking the same question all week, the way kids do when they're trying to keep hope alive. Is Grandpa coming? I had said yes. Every time. Because the alternative felt cruel. The message preview filled my screen anyway. Dad, your daughter's birthday? We're not coming. We have brunch plans with important friends. The word important was in all caps. Like my 6-year-old's first birthday without her mom was what? A scheduling conflict. I stared at the text until my throat tightened. My hands shook so hard the cake knife tapped the plate. In the living room, I could hear my daughter rehearsing her thank you for coming speech to her stuffed bunny. She'd practiced it in the mirror. She wanted to get it right. Daddy, she called, voice soft. Can we put a plate out for Grandpa, just in case? I swallowed hard and forced my voice to work. Yeah, I said. We'll put one out. Then, right as my friend Nora rang the doorbell with balloons and a bag of party hats, I watched my parents post photos to Facebook. Mimosas, smiling faces, a plate of Eggs Benedict. My mom's caption, brunch with the best people. Feeling blessed. I stood there with a phone in my hand, frosting drying on my skin, and my daughter's questions in my ears. I should have known. But grief makes you stupid in a very specific way. It makes you keep trying with people who already told you who they were. I'm Kevin. I was 38 then. Restaurant owner. Widower, which is still a word that felt like it belonged to someone else. Lila was turning 6. My wife, Megan, had died 9 months earlier. A fast illness. Hospital lights. A lot of silence. The kind of goodbye that doesn't feel real until you're standing in the cereal aisle alone, trying to remember which brand she always bought. After Megan died, the world split into 2 groups. People who showed up, and people who talked about showing up. My parents were in the second group. They came to the funeral. They hugged me like I was a distant relative. My mom said, "You'll be fine. You're strong." Like strength was a replacement for help. After that, they mostly returned to their normal life. Their dinners, their golf, their church friends, their brunches with important people. But when it came to money, oh, they knew how to show up for that. I'd been helping my parents financially since my restaurant finally took off 3 years earlier. Not because I owed them, not because they were desperate, because every time I tried to say no, they found a way to make me feel like a bad son. It started small. A loan for a property tax bill they forgot was due. $1,200. A car repair. $900. Then it became predictable. Every month, my dad would call with that same fake casual tone. Hey, Kev. Quick question. You still got that automatic transfer set up? The one that helps us with the mortgage? Just checking. The mortgage on the house they insisted they couldn't downsize from, even though it was just the 2 of them and a guest room full of furniture no one used. I was sending them $700 a week by the time Megan got sick. We told ourselves it was temporary. We told ourselves they'd pay it back. We told ourselves family helped family. The problem was, the helping only went one direction. When Megan was in the hospital, my parents didn't offer to pick up Lila from preschool. They didn't offer to bring food. They didn't offer to sit with her so I could sleep. But my dad did text me once. Don't forget the transfer on Friday. Bank fees are ridiculous. I remember looking at Megan in her hospital bed, her eyes closed, her hand cold in mine, and feeling something heavy settle behind my ribs. Not anger yet. More like a long, slow understanding. They weren't my safety net. I was theirs. And when Megan died, I became a single dad with a restaurant to run and a child who woke up at night calling for her mom. I kept the transfers going anyway. Because I was tired. Because I didn't have the emotional energy to fight every battle at once. Because I kept thinking, if I just keep being steady, maybe they'll soften. I paid for my parents' new water heater that winter. $2,400. I paid their HOA special assessment. $1,800. I paid for a small medical bill that turned out to be my mom's cosmetic dental work. $3,200. And every time, they said the same thing. We really appreciate you, Kev. Then they'd forget Lila's birthday party time. They'd forget her school play. They'd forget to ask how she was sleeping. But they never forgot Friday. The weeks before Lila's birthday, I planned like the party was a life raft. It sounds dramatic, but if you've ever tried to create joy for a child who's grieving, you know it's not just a party. It's proof that life still has color. Lila wanted a rainbow unicorn theme. She said unicorns were magic animals that don't leave. So I went all in. I ordered a unicorn cake from the bakery that supplies my restaurant. I asked them to make the main extra bright. I taped a paper rainbow across the living room wall, each stripe cut by hand after Lila went to bed. I bought a little plastic crown that said birthday girl in glitter letters. I mailed invitations the old-fashioned way, with stickers and everything, because Lila liked stamping the envelopes like she was sending secret mail. And I called my parents 2 weeks ahead of time. Lila's party is Saturday at 2, I said. She's really excited. She asks about you every day. My mom laughed, like I was being adorable. Oh honey, of course we'll be there. My dad said, put us down as yes. I asked them to promise. My dad sighed, like I was being needy. Yes, Kevin, we'll be there. So every day, when Lila asked, I said yes. Because I believed promises still meant something to them. Or maybe I just needed to believe that. For her. The morning of the party, Lila woke up early, hair sticking up, eyes bright. Is today the party? She whispered, like if she spoke too loudly it would disappear. Yes, I said. And Grandpa and Grandma are coming. She hugged my waist, so tight my back cracked. Good, she said. Because I made him something. She ran to the kitchen table and brought me a card. Construction paper, uneven edges, marker scribbles. Inside was a drawing of a stick figure family. Me, Lila, and a third figure with yellow hair and a big smile. Is that Grandpa? I asked. She nodded. I made him tall, she said, so he can reach stuff for me. I had to turn away for a second and pretend I was looking for tape. My eyes stung. My chest felt like a door was closing. I wasn't just planning a party. I was trying to build my daughter a small village in the middle of an empty field. When my dad's text came, I didn't answer right away. I stared at it until the words blurred. Then I looked over at Lila. She was lining up paper plates, whispering to herself. One for Nora. One for Teddy. One for Grandpa. She had counted Grandpa's plate twice. Like if she counted enough, he would appear. Nora showed up first, carrying balloons and a big smile that didn't quite reach her eyes when she saw my face. What happened? She asked quietly. I showed her the text. Her mouth tightened. Kevin, she said, I'm so sorry. I didn't want sympathy. I wanted my parents to not be the kind of people who did this. I swallowed and forced my voice to stay steady. We're going to have a good party, I said. No matter what. Nora nodded. She went straight into action mode, the way good friends do. Hanging streamers. Arranging snacks. Keeping Lila busy so she wouldn't stare at the front window. But kids always know. At 2:10, Lila stood on tiptoe by the curtains. Maybe they're stuck in traffic, she whispered. At 2:30, she asked me, did Grandpa forget? At 2:45, she stopped asking and just sat on the floor with her crown tilted sideways, quietly pulling the ribbon off a party favor. That was the moment that broke me. Not the text. Not the brunch photos. My daughter, 6 years old, sitting in a room full of unicorn decorations, looking smaller than she should have. After we sang and she blew out candles, she made a wish so intense her eyebrows pulled together. I knew what she wished for. When it was time for gifts, she opened hers politely. She hugged people and said thank you. But every time the front door made a sound, her head snapped up. My restaurant cooks came by, dropping off a gift bag with a little stuffed unicorn and a note that said, Chef Kevin, we love you and Lila. She smiled at that. For a second. Then she asked Nora, do you think Grandpa is coming later? Maybe for cake. Nora looked at me, eyes shiny. I nodded once small. We'll see, Nora said gently. And then, as if the universe wanted to be extra cruel, my mom posted another photo. This time it was the two of them clinking glasses. Caption, when you know the right people, doors open. Something in my body went cold. I walked into the hallway, away from the kids, and I did the one thing that felt like I could still protect my daughter. I took a picture. Not of her crying. She didn't cry. She'd learned not to cry in front of people, which was its own heartbreak. It was a photo of Lila sitting on the carpet, crown askew, holding Grandpa's card in her lap like it was fragile. Her eyes were down. Her mouth was a straight line. A disappointed face, framed by unicorn streamers. I texted it to my parents. No caption at first. Just the photo. Then, after a long breath, I typed, last time you break her heart. My thumb hovered over send. I pressed it anyway. They didn't respond. Not that day. Not the next. Lila asked about them once the following morning while we ate pancakes. Did Grandpa see my card? She asked. I said, not yet. She nodded like she was absorbing a fact about weather. Then she got up, walked to the fridge, and taped the card there herself with a magnet. So he can see it later, she said. That card stayed on the fridge for weeks. The corners curled. The marker faded a little. My parents still didn't call, but the Friday transfer went through, like always. Because I hadn't stopped it yet. Because part of me still lived in the old pattern. Keep things stable, keep them happy, keep the peace, maybe they'll be nicer. That Friday night, after I put Lila to bed, I opened my banking app and stared at the outgoing transfer. $700. A weekly payment to people who couldn't make time for their granddaughter's first birthday after her mom died. I felt disgust rise in my throat, sharp and bitter. And I thought of Megan. I thought of her last week, how she had whispered to me, "Don't let them use you, Kev." At the time I nodded, because she was dying, and I didn't want to argue about my parents with her in a hospital room. But now, alone in my kitchen, I heard her voice like it was sitting across from me. Don't let them use you. I stared at the screen until my hands stopped shaking enough to tap. Not a dramatic move. Not revenge. Just a clean, quiet decision. I turned off the automatic transfer. The app asked, "Are you sure?" I clicked yes. Then I went one step further. My parents' mortgage payment was linked to my business line of credit because my dad had accidentally missed 2 payments 2 years earlier and begged me to help temporarily. I'd been paying it ever since, pretending it was a short-term thing. I called the bank the next morning. "I need to remove my account from any automatic payments connected to my parents," I said. The woman on the phone asked for verification. Asked if I understood this would cause missed payments. "Yes," I said calmly. "I understand." She emailed me confirmation forms. I signed them digitally. Then I opened the shared house projects account my dad had talked me into co-managing when they wanted to redo their kitchen. There was about $18,000 sitting in it. Money I'd put in over time. I transferred my portion out into my business savings. Not stolen. Not hidden. Just no longer available for them to spend like it was theirs by default. When I finished, the account balance looked different. It looked like reality. I stared at the confirmation screen, feeling something like grief, but cleaner. And I whispered, to no one, "Okay." The fallout started within hours. My dad called first. 3 times. Then a voicemail. His tone was casual at the start, like he was calling about the weather. "Hey, Kev. The transfer didn't come through. Probably a bank glitch. Give me a call." Then another voicemail, less casual. "Kevin, we need to know what's going on. We have things scheduled." My mom texted, like she was starting a conversation about brunch. "Mom, sweetheart, did you change something with the payments? Your father is worried." Then, finally, my dad's real voice came out. He called again and left a voicemail that wasn't pretending anymore. "Kevin, this is not the time to play games. We have obligations. I don't know what you think you're doing, but you can't just pull support. We're your parents." There it was. Not, "We're sorry we missed the party." Not, "How is Lila doing?" Not even, "We feel terrible." Just, "You can't pull support." Like I was a utility company. Like my role was to keep their lights on while they forgot my daughter existed. I didn't answer. Not because I was being dramatic. Because if I answered, I knew I'd get dragged back into the old dance. Guilt, excuses, promises, nothing changing. Instead, I texted one message. "I won't fund a family my daughter isn't part of." That was it. Short. Clear. Then I put my phone face down and went to work. 2 weeks passed. My parents didn't ask about Lila. They didn't mention brunch. They didn't apologize. They did, however, send me a spreadsheet. A literal spreadsheet. My dad emailed it with the subject line, "House expenses you're responsible for." I opened it in the back office of my restaurant, between inventory counts and payroll. It was a list of things they believed I should pay. Mortgage, utilities, holiday hosting fund, country club dues, my mom's health supplements. At the bottom, bolded, it said, "Total weekly support needed, $900. I laughed once. A sharp, humorless sound. Then I closed my laptop. That night, Lila crawled into my bed, clutching her bunny. "Daddy," she whispered, "I miss Mommy." I held her until she fell asleep. Then I lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking of my dad's spreadsheet. And I knew something important. They weren't just careless. They were entitled. They had replaced love with invoices. Christmas came faster than I wanted it to. Lila's first Christmas without her mom. I tried to make it gentle. We put Megan's favorite ornament on the tree first, a tiny glass star. Lila held it carefully, like it might break if she breathed wrong. We baked cookies and left 3 out on a plate. "One for Santa," Lila said, "and 1 for Mommy." I swallowed and said, "Okay." We went to my restaurant on Christmas Eve afternoon, just to say hi to the staff and drop off little gift cards. My team adored Lila. They treated her like she was precious, not inconvenient. My sous chef, Marco, bent down to her level and said, You excited for Christmas, Princessa? Lila nodded. Then she hesitated and asked, Do you think Grandpa will come to Christmas? My chest tightened. I didn't lie this time. I don't know, I said softly. But you and me? We're going to have a good Christmas no matter what. She looked at me for a long second, like she was deciding whether to believe me. Then she nodded once. Okay, she said. Can we make hot chocolate? We can make a whole lake of hot chocolate, I said, and she smiled. Christmas morning, we stayed home. Just us. Pajamas. Cinnamon rolls. A quiet kind of joy. I thought maybe my parents would leave us alone. I was wrong. At 3:17 p.m., while Lila was on the floor building a Lego unicorn stable, there was a knock. Not a friendly knock. A firm, familiar knock. Like they owned the door. I opened it, and there they were. My mom in her winter coat, holding a gift bag. My dad standing behind her with his jaw tight. And both of them wore the same expression. Not apology. Not regret. Expectation. My mom stepped forward like nothing had happened. We decided to stop by, she said. Because family shouldn't stay mad. My dad looked past me into my living room. Where's Lila? He asked, like he was checking a box. Lila peeked around the corner, bunny tucked under her arm. Her face lit up for half a second. That automatic kid hope. Grandpa, she said. Then she glanced at my face, and the light dimmed. She was learning to read rooms. My mom held out the gift bag. Come here, sweetheart, she said in a sugary voice. Lila took 2 small steps forward. She didn't run. She didn't fling herself at them. She just stood there, cautious, like a kid approaching a dog that had bitten her once. I watched my dad's eyes flick to the tree, then to the wrapped gifts. Kevin, he said low, we should talk. My mom sighed dramatically. You've made this very difficult, she said. We've been embarrassed. People are asking questions. There it was again. Not, we hurt Lila. Not, we missed something important. Just, embarrassment. My daughter stood between us, clutching her bunny, and I realized this was the exact crossroads moment. If I let them in, they'd learn nothing. They'd do a quick visit, take photos for Facebook, and walk away feeling like they had fixed it, while still expecting money next week. If I didn't let them in, they'd punish me with guilt and anger. But my job wasn't to protect their feelings. My job was to protect my kid. I knelt down next to Lila and spoke gently. Sweetie, I said, can you go pick your favorite new ornament and bring it here? She hesitated. Nora had taught her a quiet code word after Megan died. If Dad asks you to do something weird, it means he needs a minute. Lila nodded and walked to the tree, hands small and steady. I stood up and looked at my parents. We're not doing surprise visits, I said calmly. My mom's smile wobbled. We brought gifts, she said, like that was a magic key. My dad's voice sharpened. Kevin, don't do this on Christmas. Then you shouldn't have done it on her birthday, I said. My mom's eyes narrowed. Oh, come on, she snapped. It was brunch. We had commitments. Your granddaughter had a commitment too, I said. She was turning 6. It was her first birthday without her mom. My dad exhaled like I was exhausting. You're making everything about grief, he said. Life moves on. I felt something go very still inside me. Lila came back holding the glass star ornament. Megan's ornament. She held it like a tiny offering. I wanted to show Grandpa, she said quietly. My dad barely glanced at it. My mom reached toward it. That's nice, she said. Too fast, too fake. Let's take a picture. Lila's fingers tightened around the ornament. She pulled it slightly back toward her chest. And that was it. My daughter didn't even know she was drawing a boundary, but she was. I looked at my parents and spoke like I was telling them the restaurant was closed. You don't get photos, I said. Not today. Not like this. My mom's face hardened. So you're punishing us, she said. No, I said. I'm protecting her. My dad stepped forward, anger finally leaking out. You cut us off, he said. You humiliated us. And now you're acting like we're monsters. I kept my voice even. I stopped paying for you, I said. That's not humiliation. That's reality. My mom scoffed. We raised you, she snapped. We sacrificed. You raised me, I said. And now I'm raising her. Alone. That's what you're ignoring. My dad's jaw clenched. So what? We're not welcome in your house now, he demanded. I nodded once. Not unannounced, I said. Not without an apology. Not without actually showing up for her in a way that isn't performative. My mom huffed. What apology? For missing a party, she said. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue in circles. I just held their gaze and said the simplest truth. For making her feel like she didn't matter, I said. And for making me lie to her. My dad looked away first. My mom's eyes flashed. This is ridiculous, she snapped. You're turning her against us. I glanced down at Lila. She was standing very still, holding her mom's ornament, watching my parents like they were strangers. No anger, no drama, just distance. I opened the door wider, not to invite them in, but to make the exit obvious. You need to leave, I said. My mom's mouth fell open. Kevin, leave, I repeated, calm, firm, and don't show up again without calling first. My dad grabbed my mom's arm, not gently. Fine, he said. Fine, but don't come crying to us when you need help. I didn't flinch. I needed help, I said quietly. You had brunch. My mom made a sound like she wanted the last word, but my dad pulled her down the steps. Lila didn't wave. She didn't run after them. She just stood there holding that little glass star like it was the only thing in the world worth protecting. When the car backed out of the driveway, she finally exhaled. Daddy, she whispered, did I do something wrong? I dropped to my knees in front of her so fast my joints hurt. No, I said. No, baby. You didn't do anything wrong. She looked at the ornament, then at me. Okay, she said softly. Can we put Mommy's star back on the tree? Yes, I said. We can. We hung it together. Her hands were careful. Mine were shaking. That night, after she fell asleep, my phone lit up with texts. My mom, you embarrassed us. My dad, you're being dramatic. Then, finally, the one that made it clear nothing had changed. My dad. So when are you reinstating the payments? I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed one sentence. I'm not your backup bank. And I blocked both numbers. The next week was loud in a quiet way. They called from different numbers. Left voicemails. Sent emails. My aunt messaged me. Your mom is heartbroken. A cousin wrote. It's Christmas, Kevin. Nobody wrote. How's Lila? So I stopped checking. Instead, I did something small and symbolic. I took the card Lila had made for Grandpa, the one that had been taped to my fridge, edges curled, and I framed it. A cheap black frame from the craft store. Nothing fancy. Then I hung it in the hallway, right where we walked past every morning. Lila noticed immediately. You put my card in a picture frame, she said, voice full of wonder. Yes, I said. Because it matters. She stared at it for a second, like she couldn't fully process that a grown-up would treat her work like treasure. Then she smiled. A real one. Okay, she said. I'm going to make more. On New Year's Eve, my restaurant was closed. Staff had the night off. But I unlocked the front door anyway. I set up a small table near the window with paper snowflakes and hot chocolate and a bowl of marshmallows. Nora came over. Marco and his wife stopped by for an hour. My dishwasher, Luis, brought his teenage daughter, who taught Lila how to fold napkins into little swans. It wasn't a big party. It wasn't fancy, but it was warm. At 11:59, we counted down. Lila wore her purple pajamas and held a plastic cup of sparkling cider like it was the most important thing she'd ever done. When we hit midnight, she laughed. Not the polite laugh she used around my parents. A full-body laugh that made her shoulders lift and her eyes squint. I looked around my restaurant, my place, built with my hands and long nights, and I felt something settle. This was our family now. Not blood, not tradition, not obligation, just people who showed up. Later, after everyone left, I swept the floor and turned off the lights. Lila tugged my sleeve. Daddy, she said sleepily, are we still a family if Grandpa doesn't come? I knelt down and brushed her hair back. We're a family, I said, because we love each other. She nodded like that made sense. Then she pointed up at the framed card in the hallway near the office door. Can we put one for Mommy too? She asked. My throat tightened. Yes, I said. We can. The next day, we printed a photo of Megan, one where she was laughing, eyes bright, holding Lila on her hip. We framed it. We hung it next to Lila's card. 2 frames side by side. One for the love we lost. One for the love we protected. And the chairs my parents would have sat in? They stayed empty. Not as revenge. As a simple, quiet truth. They didn't belong in the life I was building anymore. Not if my daughter had to keep asking, is Grandpa coming? Not if the answer kept breaking her. So I made sure she didn't have to ask again.